Fujifilm X-PRO4, the big announcement, my announcement, what I want from Fujifilm X-PRO4, and Fujifilm better listen to this. Hi there and welcome to Tudor Talks. In this video I want to share with you my list for Fujifilm X-PRO4 specifications. So if you are in content like this, please subscribe now to my channel, because I will post more content about Fujifilm cameras, photography gear, tips and tricks. So let's get to the subject. Why Fujifilm X-PRO4 needs to have a better optical viewfinder. This is my first wish. My first Fujifilm X-Pro camera, it's this Fujifilm X-Pro3. But after reading and studying about the Fujifilm X-Pro series camera, I've discovered that X-Pro2 had an optical viewfinder with dual magnification options. And this was taken from Fujifilm X-Pro3. And with Fujifilm X-Pro3, when you are using the 80mm f2 lens, you will not see the frame lines. You will see some corner indications that are showing you the average frame lines of the 28mm equivalent field of view with the 80mm f2 lens. So for a rangefinder camera that has the prestige of a Fujifilm X-Pro line camera, I think it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable to not be able to see in the optical viewfinder, the 28mm frame lines. It's such an important lens and field of view for street photography. So we really need these two magnifications. These two magnifications on an optical viewfinder, it is possible that will offer us the chance to use wide angle lenses like the 80mm f2 or probably 60mm f2.8, why not? And longer lenses and chunkier lenses when you will increase the magnification. So with the 30mm f1.4 new lens, with the 56mm f1.4 new lens, and so on. So these new optical magnifications, if they will be implemented in Fujifilm X-PRO4, will help us use the optical viewfinder of the camera with different Fujifilm lenses. And I think this need, it's a crucial need. It's a crucial need because you don't buy X-PRO4 or X-PRO3 just to use the X-Pro line with small 35mm or other f2 Fujicron lenses. We want to use the f1.4 lenses with the optical viewfinder on a Fujifilm X-Pro camera. So a huge point here. Now let's talk about the next important point, the screen. Personally, I like very much this screen. I like it very much, and I'm okay with Fujifilm X-PRO4 to have this screen. It's an excellent touch to make this camera feel like an analog camera with all the buttons, the dials, the aperture ring, the film simulations, and so on. It's something unique, and I feel that Fujifilm needs to stick to this screen. I know some users are wanting a fixed screen or a normal flip screen. I think it's an okay implementation, but this kind of screen, it's another touch, it's another level. Because when you are shooting with this screen, you can use the camera at the eye level and then use the camera at the waist level very fast. The movement is very natural. So from a rangefinder camera, this camera can become a Rolleiflex camera and so on. So I really love the implementation, but they need to fix the problem with the broken screen. Lots of users reported that they had problems with the screen, especially with the monitor screen. But they really need to solve this problem, the ribbon problem, or I don't know what the problem is, but they need to fix the problem. You don't want to buy a camera that will be faulty after 2 years or 1 year. I've used this camera without problems in heavy rain and in all kinds of conditions, and I didn't have that screen problem. But it's not clear for me if this is a recurrent problem. But by the way, when I bought my first X-PRO4, it got problem on the optical viewfinder. The frame lines were burning the optical viewfinder or something like that. On the optical viewfinder, there were remaining marks of the frames and they didn't disappear at all. Anyway, coming back to the screen, they must resolve the lag problem. When you are touching the screen to make the shot, I really love to use the screen to make photography, street photography, by touching the screen or any kind of photography. And with Fujifilm X-PRO4 you have a lag, a substantial lag. It's not something that it's fun to use on the street. You will lose the decisive moment. When I'm using an Olympus camera or a Lumix camera, the touch to shoot, it's instantly. Here I have a lag. It's not okay. It's not okay. I know the screen it is closed, but they implemented this function and this function should work well. So touch gestures, touch to shoot should work flawlessly. And talking about this touch to shoot, another edited bonus that can be implemented via firmware is to have the option to assign another button to the shutter release button. So I want to change this shutter release button with the Q button or with another button that I have here on the rear back. So this will help me take shots by clicking another button. And this will make me more invisible on the streets when I'm taking shots. So it will be a very, very good idea, a very good implementation, because it's fun to use another button to release your shutter. The next important point that they need to update is the ISO dial. This implementation, it's not a workable implementation for a digital camera. It's not a workable implementation. I really love the dial from the X100V. You raise the ISO dial and you can change the aperture how you want. So you don't need to put the exposure compensation dial in control mode. So they really need to fix the ISO dial. And talking about dials, they need to make the exposure compensation dial more stiffer, more hard to click, because I'm bumping the exposure compensation dial and it's not okay. It's not okay. Also, when I'm using a lens like Sigma 30mm f1.4 on this Fujifilm X-PRO4 body, this rear dial is hard to use when you want to fast change the aperture. The rear dial from the XE4, it is easier to be used. It is easier. So we need fluent dials when we need those fluent dials, and we need stiffer dials in the place where it's needed. So they really need to fix that and think about that, because I want to use lenses, Sigma lenses or other lenses with no aperture. What we can do if we have this option from the third-party manufacturers, and I really need a real dial that is helping me to fast change the aperture. Now I think it's crucial to talk about IBIS. X-PRO4 needs IBIS. Smaller cameras, bigger cameras are having IBIS, and X-PRO4 is not a small camera. It's not a small camera. We really need there some IBIS. I don't need the IBIS to make 1 second handheld shot. No, but I need it to compensate for my hand movement when I'm on the streets, when I'm walking and shooting, So a little IBIS there will help us a lot to not have pictures that are moved by our hands. And this is important. I really love when I'm using my JX9 with IBIS for freely shooting. So I don't need to increase the shutter speed too much, because the movement that it's possible to happen in the picture, it is from my hand. Because I walk and shoot. But with IBIS, the walking and shooting style, it will be possible with lower shutter speeds, and of course with lower ISO, and so on. So IBIS is important. And the next tricky point is the resolution. I know some users aren't wanting the 40 megapixel resolution sensor. I want it because of the function that is called Sports Finder mode. That function, it allows you to crop 0.25x time with your lens. So a 40mm lens, the 27mm f2.8, it will become a 50mm pancake lens with enough resolution on your Fujifilm camera. But even more, if we have more resolution, they can increase the crop factor, make it from 0.25 to 0.50. So we'll have two options to crop in. So we will be able to use a lens in 3 focal lenses. This is huge. This is huge when you want to take just one lens. So the 27mm f2.8 pancake lens can become a 50mm equivalent field of view lens and a 65 equivalent field of view lens. So this is extraordinary. This is extraordinary because cropping, it's a creative process and it is fun to use in camera because you want to nail the shot in camera. It's very usable. It's very usable. Just think when you will be able to use the 80mm f1.4 with frame lines and being able to crop 2x times in your camera. So 80mm f1.4 will become a 35mm equivalent field of view with f1.4 aperture that will let the light, and also a 50mm more or so equivalent field of view with f1.4 lens on a very good sensor. So with one lens you will be able to cover these fields of view and get good compositions right in your camera. So this is huge. So this is why I am pro the 40 megapixel sensor, and why not implement an option like I implemented with 3 resolution options, or at least if you don't want the 40 megapixel option, use just JPEGs at smaller resolutions. So it's clear for me the 40 megapixel sensor, it is the way to go. Another point, I think we need better video specs on X-PRO4. Yes, it's a rangefinder camera designed to take photos, but it's usable when you want to take videos. So when I want to take videos and b-rolls, I really like to use my X-PRO4. So why not have better video specs? Because as a content creator, I love to have a camera that is helping me to get some slow motion shots and so on. So good video specs on X-PRO4, it will not bother anyone. And the next point, I think, it's of course increase the battery. Use the new battery, because yes, I don't want to change batteries, but I would prefer to use just 2 batteries with my X-PRO4 than 3 batteries. So an increased battery life, a new battery, the XT4 battery, from what I understand, or XH2S, XH2 battery, it will be a great deal. Because on my Sony camera, I really love to have a battery that is able to keep me 3 days for street photography shooting. So I really love a good chunky battery that I really don't need to change. And of course, the last points are: don't put a flippy screen. Don't put a flippy screen on the X-PRO4. Don't put a flippy screen. So these are my thoughts about the X-PRO4 and what I wish for. Please leave me in the comments what you wish for X-PRO4, and also please be sure to subscribe now to my channel and like this video for more content like this. Also, if you want to support the channel, please check my affiliate links. Also, I'm glad when I'm receiving PayPal donation, and also you can check my membership part of my YouTube channel where I posted some private POVs with my Fujifilm X-PRO4 and Fujifilm X100V, where I shoot a turbulent event and all kinds of POVs and educational street photography videos and other videos that will come. So support my work. Thank you very much for watching this, and talk to you soon. Bye bye.